Okay. All right. So we are on. Okay. I want to keep it open for you guys. Um, and just ask, open it up for general questions. I guess what I could do, let me go to share screen here real quick, just so that we can start off with the rubric. Okay. Because I think most people were concerned about the questionnaire project. Okay. And so when you go to the questionnaire project assignment, either in assignments and materials or in the week number 6, I believe it is, it'll say go to the syllabus for your rubric. So this is the rubric that's embedded into the syllabus for you. Okay. So the first part of it is a research hypothesis. Then you have the consent form. Then you have the questionnaire and you have the code book. Okay. So most of you turned in a research hypothesis. The idea here, guys, is that you follow along from your SPSS book, looking at chapter 6. Okay. So if you look at chapter 6, it talks about selecting and interpreting the inferential statistic. Okay. So this is basically what I wanted you to do in this assignment. Okay. What are you going to select? Are you going to select a difference question, which means you're comparing two things or more than two things? Or is an associational question, okay, where you're looking at a trend between two variables? Okay, so that could be correlation, or it could be a regression model. Okay, or is it descriptive? And I don't really want a descriptive. Okay, I want you to apply an inferential statistic to it. So it says hypothesis is directional, includes all variables, and is derived from a logical research question. So when in research, what we do is we always start off with a research topic. From the topic, we create a question. Then that question guides us to literature, and that's why you do the literature reviews and you see what has been studied on this topic in the past. Okay, then that will guide you for a more directed statement. So it's like, well, I want to look at how education improves what self-esteem. Okay, and so your research question is like, I just want to look at. I want to see the effect of education. However, I want to operationally define that education on self-esteem. See, I don't know where it's going, right? But then I go to the literature and I say, oh, you know what? Yeah, education. I can use GPA. That'll work as a variable, and it's quantitative. It's something I can count, and I can look at self-esteem. And self-esteem I could put on a Likert scale from 1 to 5, and I could have different items that all pertain to a good or poor self-esteem. Okay, so then I look at that and I was like, you know what, I think what I'm going to hypothesize is that the higher one's education is better GPA, higher grade level, whatever it is, okay, will have a positive impact on their self-esteem. So you see how I took a topic, I built a question, I went to the literature, I found out what it said, and now what I did is I put it into a hypothesis. Okay, so that's the first part. Second part then is the consent form, and I think you guys were pretty much on top of that. And I gave you that model, and most of you just kind of filled in that model. Perfect. Okay, then you came up with the questionnaire. So the questionnaire is going to consist of at least 10 items. 5 of those are demographic items, and then 5 that pertain to the hypothesis. Okay, so gender, race, age. Now, the reason why we always have demographic questions, and just to let you know on questionnaires, the demographic questions should always be at the end of the questionnaire. Okay, that's just good questionnaire design. Demographics always at the end. Sometimes demographic questions can set somebody off, okay, to where they look at something and they're like, okay, why are they asking me for my gender right off the bat? Why are they asking me for my age? Right? What is this even about? And then their mind starts kind of straying off. But if you start off with a very easy, benign kind of a item on a Likert scale, then they'll start filling those out, do the demographics at the end. Okay. And the reason for the demographics is in the real world so that you can identify that your sample matches your population or is as similar as you can get to your population. If it's not, then you can't generalize your results. Okay. And the whole reason for doing a study is so that you can tell people, either other researchers or the general public, hey, look at what I found. Go out and try it yourself. Okay. But if it doesn't generalize, we can't say that. You can't say, okay, try this. Okay. So then the other 5 items are going to pertain to your dependent variable. So, Justin, what do you have as a dependent variable? You're muted, Justin.
You said my dependent variable or
Yeah,
independent?
yeah, your
Oh,
dependent variable.
okay. My dependent variable is substance use scores. So like it's like a Likert scale 1 through 5. Like how often do you drink or stuff like that.
Perfect. Yeah, and you and I talked about that, and we were thinking maybe risky behavior or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I need to put a real label to it because it's just like, 5 or 6 scores, and I'm just like, okay.
yeah. So what you're going to have is you're going to have 5 items all on the same Likert scale. Okay.
Mhm.
And then what you'll do is you'll compute a mean of all 5 of those items for each person. And then that mean becomes your dependent variable. See? And then you can use any of your demographic questions, because let's say that you wanted to look at the risk-taking behavior by gender. Okay, well, gender is your independent variable, males and females, 2 levels, and now your dependent variable is risky behavior. You see how that works? Okay. Um, and the risky behavior, that Likert scale, is a interval scale or scale according to SPSS, which then in that case you could use an independent samples t-test. Okay. So that's the questionnaire. You don't even have to disseminate the questionnaire. This part of the project was just to build it. And then the code book. Okay. A lot of people get confused by the code book. Um, but I was referring people to chapter 2, okay, page 28 and 29. And it runs through it there for it. Now, a lot of people look at it and they're like, okay, I'm punching all the buttons. I'm not getting anything. Well, you have to code your entire instrument into SPSS first. Okay. So remember, in SPSS, every row is a case or a participant, and every column is a variable. Okay. So in your case, Justin, you'd have, let's say column 1 is gender, and you're going to put in 1s and 2s, 1's for males, 1's for 2's for females, right? And then the next variable, you're going to put your dependent variable, which is that mean score for all of those items. Okay. Um, and so now once it's all coded into your SPSS, then you run the code book, and boom, it only takes 2 seconds to run the code book. It's like 2 or 3 little clicks. Okay. But everything has to be coded. All the variables have to be identified, all the value labels have to be put in, that kind of thing. And then you run the code book. Does that make sense? Okay. Does that make sense, Cassandra?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right. So now that we have that part there done, what other questions do you guys have for the questionnaire project rubric and or the questionnaire project presentation? Is there anything else that you're confused on? No?
I guess my question about the presentation is what format are you looking for? Is it like
Okay.
a PowerPoint or?
Yeah, exactly. So this is going to be a PowerPoint. I don't put PowerPoint on there per se, because you can use Prevy, you can use, what are they, Google Slides, I try to leave it up there for you, but yeah, meets all expectations. Coverage of the topic would be details in the presentation, captures the important information about the topic and increases the audience understanding. The other thing is, I mean, you could do PowerPoint and do voiceover if you wanted to. On it, you could create a YouTube video. That's, however you want to do the presentation, as long as you have those components in there. All graphics are related to the topic. Analysis describes in detail one inferential statistic. Of course, for this class, it's data analysis, right? So the analysis part is what I'm really looking at. I want you to develop this survey instrument, disseminate it, pull that data, put your data back into SPSS, run at least one analysis, and then explain what you found. That's it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, do you have a recommended number of participants for the questionnaire itself?
Yeah, the questionnaire, I mean, to get anything, Cassandra, you're going to need at least 10 to 20. You know,
Okay.
and the reason also for not putting that exact thing in there is because what I have to work on realism also, right? What is going to be realistic for people? Some people don't have that access to people, so just kind of do your best. The other thing is that, like on SurveyMonkey, you can create a survey in SurveyMonkey without paying. I think you can even do a free one. I know if you request a sample, it's going to cost you, but it might not cost you very much. But you can create a survey instrument in SurveyMonkey, go in and say, okay, can you please sample 20 people from me? And they'll actually send your survey to 20 people in the general public and get the results back. So, but I don't want people to have to spend money. I don't want people to feel like, well, I don't know 40 people or 50 people. How am I going to get this done? so we are, at least I work on the feasibility principle, and you try to get me at least 10 or 20 responses and I'm good to go. That makes sense? Okay.
Yep, that's it for me.
That's it, huh? Okay.
All the questions I have.
Same.
Okay. Anything, and now let's stop share here and see. Some of the things that we can cover also, just make sure, and I know you guys are already good, but just make sure when you're doing the assignments each and every week to respond to every part of the item, because I know the questions that are in here, if it's an interpretation question or if it's an SPSS problem, there's many, many questions embedded in there. Okay. So the best way to respond to those would be for you to write out each part and then respond to each part of the item. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. And also I did send out that email if you're behind on something. I know some people were like, I don't understand the code book, but they still turned in the project, the questionnaire project. Just go back and do the code book, tell me that you did it, and I'll go back and I'll give you points. Okay. So it's far more important for me to know that you guys learn something, that you know how to do it now, than giving out points for it. I have to give out the points to give you a grade, right? But I'd rather you say, hey, you know what? I know how. I had one of the students, I think today it was just this morning, they were like, oh, Mark, I did that code book. That was actually kind of fun. I was completely lost. Now it's like super cool. I know how how it works. So and believe me, I mean, SPSS is a fantastic skill to have, guys. Put SPSS, at least put familiarity with, or some knowledge of, put that into your resume, man, today. Okay. Because it does look really, really good. There's a lot of county jobs and analyst jobs out there that they want to see that you've at least had some experience with SPSS. Okay. And also know, I mean, the book that we go through here is the IBM SPSS introductory. And they do have intermediate, they have advanced books for SPSS. So now you can kind of learn on your own. When I was first using SPSS, everything was through a workshop. There were books like this, and I mean, literally, you were paying $500 a day for training in SPSS. So now you get it. You're getting it in this class. It's a fantastic opportunity. Okay. Anything else? Justin, Cassandra?
No, I think that's it for me.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you
I'm
for
good.
yes.
Yeah, no problem at all, Cassandra. I've been asking several people, if you need more help, I give people my cell phone number. So 760-964-1884 if you're stuck on something. Um, uh, just give me a call and let me know what you need, and I'll make sure that you guys get the help that you need. Okay. All right. I know we only have 2 more weeks left, so it's flown by really, really fast. And but I know both of you are going to be no problem. I think you'll have it. Okay. Anything else is anything with the course, anything with the data sets, anything with the SPSS problem, anything with exporting the output. How about that? Any issues with that? Okay. It made it really easy. SPSS, it used to be its own software. It was developed by the makers of SPSS, and in one case, it was really, really good. I mean, you could call up SPSS and actually speak to a statistician. It was pretty phenomenal. IBM bought them out, and tech support and everything is horrible now. But the one thing that works nice is that they have changed the output viewer to work with all of your Office products. So you run an analysis, the output viewer comes up, you right click on it, copy it, throw it right into Word. Yeah. So I still have people giving me screenshots and all this kind of stuff. You don't have to do that. Right click, copy it, put it into Word, and then just provide me that narrative. Another thing to think about, guys, is any kind of a figure or a table, anything that you give me in one of your assignments, please place some narrative around it. Okay, because I want to know that you understand what you just produced. I ran this statistic. Here's my table, my t-test table or correlation or whatever it is. I copied it, I pasted it into Word, and then right below it. Okay. And also what's fantastic is that these people your authors here, let me get one here, like in chapter 9. They do this for you. They do an absolutely fantastic job. If you look at, let's say, page 158 in your book, okay, 158 is chapter 9. Okay, they actually write result sections for you. They actually write what you would put into a journal article. It's center, bold, right? That's APA, results. And then it starts off, indent, to investigate if there was a statistically significant association between mother's education and math achievement, a correlation was computed. So they tell you, right, exactly how to interpret these tables and these figures. That's beautiful. So that's what I'm looking for when you produce the output. Okay. All right. Well, that was only 24 minutes long. So, but you're good to go, Justin. You're good to go, Cassandra. Nothing else.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right. Just make sure I will post this out here. I'll put it probably into an announcement. I'll buffer it and everything right now. And then if you need anything whatsoever, just let me know. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. See you later.
Night.